Hi, I'm Kim. You're watching Kim Wilson TV. My channel is dedicated to helping victims of narcissistic abuse get free and stay free. If you're new to my channel, please visit Kim Wilson TV at YouTube. There's approximately 500 videos there covering every aspect of narcissistic abuse. For any authentic victim of narcissistic abuse, and I say that because there are so many narcissists infiltrated within our community, especially here at YouTube, well, let's just say we're running about 50-50 at this point. For real victims, you likely know exactly what's going on. Like the saying says, real eyes realize real lies. And we are most certainly being lied to on a massive global scale. For many of us, the trauma of the domestic narcissistic abuse lingers on, and never has it been so important for victims to heal. You compound domestic narcissistic abuse with the things that are going on in the world today. Oh my goodness. Victims, empaths, survivors of domestic narcissistic abuse are going to really struggle. Never has it been so important to heal, and I want to talk about that today. I think empaths everywhere would agree with me that the significant trauma that we experience as a result of domestic narcissistic abuse in itself can be incapacitating. We don't need to compound that with the events going on in this crazy upside down world right now. We are absolutely under attack by diabolical evil, and that can be seen everywhere. Now, if you're one of these people that are prone to saying things like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory, though it's happening, observable and obvious in real time right before your eyes, well, I'm just going to say, adios, amoeba. Personally, my boundaries absolutely demand that I keep crazy to a minimum, and if you can't see what's going on in your life in real time, well, that's just a little too crazy for me at this point. Real victims of narcissistic abuse should be able to recognize very, very clearly that there are things being said that are simply not true. First of all, we are now staring down the barrel of yet another variant. Personally, I would think it would be a good idea if the psychos that think they're running things prove that the last virus actually existed. Now, I'm not saying coronavirus doesn't exist. Coronavirus is, was, and will always be the common cold. And anyone with two brain cells still functioning knows that, absolutely. We also know, beyond a question of a doubt, that masking is dangerous. Masking causes a tremendous amount of bacterial load in our mask, and within seconds, I think it's something like 200,000 parts per million within under a minute. So all you're doing is creating bacteria and breathing it back in, thus causing the potential for very serious brown lung disease. This is not something to take lightly, folks. In addition to that, the reduction in oxygen supply to your brain and blood flow is also very dangerous. Trying to stop a virus with a mask, and I don't care if you put on 5 of the damn things, is like trying to stop mosquitoes with a chain link fence. It's absurd. We all know that. Anyone who's a parent remembers when your children were small, any movement towards your child's face, any time a kid would try and put a pillow near your child's face or anything near your child's face would send you reeling, because you know that suffocation is dangerous. It is absolutely imperative that we are able to breathe freely. And if you are one of these people that has been led to believe that masking is in some way beneficial to you, well, you need to stop that. You need to stop saying you're following the science, because there is absolutely no science that suggests that masking is safe. In addition to that, I believe the masking is part of a global satanic ritual, and I, for one, will not comply. I also know for absolute certain that standing 6 feet apart from other people is also part of a satanic ritual. I do not participate in satanic rituals under any conditions. What else are we looking at here, my friends? My God, the narrative is utterly insane. We've got everything from the Russians are coming. Well, for God's sakes, the Russians have been coming my entire life. Maybe we should send out a search party. Clearly, the Russians are stuck up a tree. How long are we going to milk the Russian cow? We have soaring fuel prices. We have skyrocketing inflation. We have shrinkflation. Trains apparently can't stay on the tracks anymore. They're facing potential apocalyptic level food shortages. And of course, let's not overlook the potential for an alien invasion. Yes, the intergalactic beings are coming. Oh my God. Well, I'm going to tell you, I look forward to the alien invasion. It's got to be more fun than the Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. So with all the crazy making, the chaos, and the insanity, is there a way that we can protect ourselves? Well, absolutely. I really believe there is. I do believe very shortly people are going to wake up to the reality of the potential of very, very serious food shortages. I think this is going to cause rioting. I think this is going to cause panic buying. And I think this is going to cause a lot of, well, real chaos in your communities. The best way to avoid this, to stay out of this inevitable purge, is to make sure your home is well supplied. Now, if you're not a prepper and you haven't been stocking essentials since the beginning, as I know many of you have, and certainly I have been, I'm a mother of 5 children, and though they're adults, my commitment as a mother is lifelong. There's no way I am not going to be prepared. There is no way I'm going to sit around idly and watch my children go hungry. So I've done everything I can do to prepare. Now, if you're just coming in, you're a little bit behind schedule. I'm just going to say that. But yes, there are lots of things that you can do. So what are the essentials that you can get now? Start to prepare. And if you're broke, and lots of people are broke right now, we have taken a really hard financial hit here in Mexico. The elimination of tourism in a town that depends solely on tourism, well, you can imagine, it's been quite stressful. In the very near future, I'm going to do a series of videos outlining some things that you can do to help better protect yourself. But for today, you can start with the basics, just the simplest of things. Do you have a good water supply in your home? Clean, potable drinking water. That's paramount. Food. Make sure you have food. Now, I understand that storing away canned goods and dry goods is extremely important, and we most certainly have a pretty vast assortment of rice and beans and pastas and things like that. Dry goods are always going to be a good idea, but you have to keep something in mind. There is a condition known as food fatigue, so you want to make sure you have some variety and some diversity. The best way to get this diversity, if you are stockpiling things like rice, is herbs. Herbs are magical healers, and they're certainly going to, create some diversity in your meals, even if you are working primarily with things like rice and beans. Stockpiling some essentials like rice, beans, pasta, and some herbs could be a big game changer for you. Too many of us are dependent on the internet for information, and if you, like me, runs to the internet every time you need a recipe, I'm just going to let you know that one thing you can do today that is absolutely free is to handwrite out information. If you don't know how to make a loaf of basic white bread without instruction, write it out. Get yourself a notebook and write down information that you could potentially need in the event of a blackout, internet's down, or some other crisis has occurred. Having this information on hand could be life-saving. People just don't have how-to books the way they used to. Most people depend on the internet for information. So if you're going to need information like basic, simple recipes, emergency medical treatment for animals or livestock, if you're going to need information potentially about wildcrafting or foraging, all of these things could be really important information. And if you depend on the internet, you can ensure that you have that information at your fingertips if you take some time to handwrite it out. Make yourself a journal of important information. It's not going to be a right or wrong way to compile information. It's going to be specific to your family. For example, I keep laying hens and laying ducks, so I've handwritten out about 10 pages of vital information that could be important to me in the event I can't Google search it. Make sure you do a quick inventory of your medical supplies. Do you have a medicine cabinet? Now, if you are on a big pharma medication, please be aware that one of Pfizer's big factories just burned to the ground. Probably a good thing for all of us, but nonetheless, it could reduce supplies of essential medications. I assure you, for every condition you have, there is an herbal organic cure. So please do some research about the condition that you have. In the event your medication is unavailable in limited supply or costs become so high that you simply can't afford them, there will be an herbal alternative, and this could be absolutely imperative for your family, whether it's you or a family member that is dependent on something for a medical condition. Please do this research. This is no time to be fearful. Fear is an absence of faith. Get strong in your faith in God because God is with you. Empaths are here at this time for a reason. You have a greater calling, as you're soon going to find out. And the best way to ensure that you are going to be able to fulfill this great calling is if you take a few steps to ensure you and your family are safe right now. This doesn't have to be expensive. This doesn't have to be overwhelming. This can be done in small increments. I have been prepping steady since the day this started, and some days, man, I am on fire. Other days, I just take the minimum step that I can, and you can do the same. If you have a pressing question right now, something about food storage, something about prepping, something about gardening, seed saving, how to compile a fabulous assortment of herbal medicine for yourself, please leave it in the comments below, and I will certainly address that. And as always, feel free to email me at kimwilsontv@gmail.com. I love you guys lots. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. God is with us. Stand strong in your faith, and everything's going to be okay. I hope you guys are having a great narc-free day.